Greetings, friend, and welcome to the Between the Covers podcast, where we are working every day to remove the self-limiting beliefs that are preventing us from becoming the heroes of our own stories. I am Marcus Spar, and today I wanted to talk about something that, if you have been listening to my podcast for a while, you have heard me say in every single episode, and I'll continue to say it in every episode moving forward from here, and that is, I end every single podcast saying, live strong for today. This is something that I developed back in high school, actually. It's an interesting story where it was a part of the book that I was writing back then and has gone through several changes since then. The main character has a sword master who taught him everything he knows, and in his sword master's culture, one of the things that they would say is live strong for today, and he adopted that as his own. The thing that's kind of funny about the story, I have a friend who lives close to Seattle who is an English tutor, and she volunteered to read through my book when I finished the first draft a long while ago. And she left an interesting note about this because Live Strong for Today is only half of what is said. And it usually goes one individual to another. One person says live strong for today, and then the other one responds with or die trying. I have these two characters that are going into something that they have said to each other over and over, and yet from the outsider's perspective of this friend who was reading it for the first time, she leaves this note that says, with the live strong for today, she says, oh, that's really nice. And then the next person says, or die trying, and she goes, that got really morbid. And I still laugh considering that. And honestly, I'm not changing it. The purpose for this saying in this story, and also why I say it at the end of every podcast, and I sign every single email that I send out with this as the signature instead of saying yours truly, respectively, or whatever it is. I always just say live strong for today and then follow it with my signature. This is as much a reminder to me as it is to the person who is receiving this statement for us to do exactly as it says, to live strong for today, or die trying, for those who are, I guess you're in the know now. But for those who know, it is a reminder for me to do the best that I can, to be as present as possible, to do everything with the utmost care and attention that I can give it. One of the things about this is how this looks is different depending on the day. There are some days where living strong for me, it just looks like surviving. It looks like doing the bare minimum to get by. And there are some days where living strong looks like I am thriving. In fact, one thing that I can say just about this sentiment is what I'm doing right now is an example of living strong for today. For a glimpse behind the screen here, or I guess a glimpse behind the camera, or a glimpse behind the mic, however you want to say it, I am recording this on the 7th of May in 2024. The time right now is currently 4:42 in the afternoon. And I have to leave here not long after 5 in order to go do a workout with one of my friends. Today has been a day where it feels like I have not accomplished a whole lot. My day today involved taking care of Odin, taking care of Libby by cooking us some breakfast this morning. I had a client call scheduled first thing at 8 a.m. and he had to cancel on me. And that happens. He had some kind of medical thing come up and it's like, yep, go take care of yourself. That's what you need to do. I went and spoke with my therapist for an hour today. When I got home, I usually would go to a dog park with my friend Katie, and we were trying to work it out that the normal time of us going and taking our dogs to the dog park just wasn't going to work out today. When I got home from my therapy appointment, I'm like, you know what? I'll just take Odin. Well, he'll just be the two of us. We'll just go to the dog park. There's probably going to be some other people there. We will just try and help him get some energy out so I could actually get some work done this afternoon. We go to the dog park, and he has usual good time, and we get back around noon. And as I was driving home, I realized I did not give Odin his breakfast this morning. We are running into a perpetual issue of him not wanting to eat his breakfast. I think I finally narrowed down what it is. He's so used to us eating in the living room that when I sit down in the dining room to have my breakfast in the morning and I give him his breakfast, he doesn't really eat it. But if I'll give him food in the living room, he'll eat it. I guess that's just an example of how our routines are really starting to show up here. He's picked up on, oh, this is where we eat. So I gave him a bit of a snack since I forgot to feed him breakfast this morning. I needed to make myself some lunch. And I had some ground up turkey that needed to be cooked. I was going to make some meatballs from this new recipe that I hadn't tried before. So I start doing that. And it was a bit of a lengthy process. And I get done making the food. I'm eating some other food while I'm preparing these meatballs, which actually just turned into almost like a very hearty soup. Kind of. I modified the recipe because I was getting tired. I feed myself, and I haven't even checked my emails or anything yet at this point. I hadn't even fired up my computers yet. I have to go answer nature's call because I've been running around so crazy. I needed to listen to my own body, and I had to go use the bathroom. I finally sit down at my computers, check my emails, try and get some things relatively figured out for what I was going to do with the rest of my afternoon. And it turned into making a phone call to our health insurance because we received yet another letter for some work that Libby had done that was requested by her doctor. And they're like, your insurance is saying that this service does not, or that she's not eligible for this service or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember exactly how they had it worded. So I am on the phone for over half an hour just talking and trying to get this squared away. And by the time I get done with all of that, it is 20 minutes after 4 in the afternoon. And I'm feeling like I haven't done anything really productive today. Nothing that could be classified as work. I have cooked, I've taken care of a dog, I've helped my wife with making this phone call, and I really hadn't done anything else. Clearing emails is not really something that I would classify as work. And so here I am. It is now 4:48 in the afternoon of Tuesday, the 7th of May. And I am sitting down and recording this podcast. So I can at least say I did something that was work today. I am still endeavoring to get a backlog of podcasts so I don't have to spend so much time devoted to recording and producing. I can just focus on one a week. When I'm done here, I'm going to have to close everything up and leave in order to go do my exercise training with my friend Ben. And it's probably just going to be the two of us. After that, come home, have dinner, and take a shower and settle down to play some Baldur's Gate 3 with Libby and Ben online. All the while just trying to make sure that Odin's having his needs taken care of as well. This has been my day. This is a day where once I had that client cancel his call, the only thing that I had on my calendar was going to talk with my therapist. The rest of my day was open. And it is getting close to 5. And I am just now getting done with something that I could classify as work. This is me living strong for today. Why? I really did not want to sit down and record. I was having those messages come into my mind telling me it's not worth the time, this day is just wasted, just let it go, and you'll have to find other time throughout the rest of the week to at least record one podcast so you're not getting too far behind. And here I am sitting down and saying, no, I've got the time right now, and I am going to sit down, record this podcast, and take care of something that needs to be done. I need to record these podcasts in order for them to continue being uploaded. If I want to hit this goal of having my backlog, it's helpful if I'm sitting down and recording these podcasts. And I am giving today the very best that I can in taking care of Odin, in helping Libby, in handling a stressful phone call, in running some errands. I am living strong for today. With that, I just want to challenge you with something. What does living strong for you look like? Is it getting up early in the morning, going to the gym, and getting a good solid workout in before you go and do your usual day-to-day work routine? Is it making sure that your family is cared for? Is it making sure that you are just taking care of your basic needs? That you're trying to get enough sleep? That you're eating some good food? That you are interacting with people that bring you life and light? Is it giving yourself the breaks that you need in order to get through whatever the stresses of your day happen to be? Is that living strong for today? For some, to live strong for today is the embodiment of absolute go-getters that seem to have the energy to do everything and anything that needs to be done, and they're going to do it with a smile on their face, and they'll get to the end of the day and they'll sit down and right before they go to bed and they're like, wow, today was a really productive day. Or is living strong for today going to be sitting down to devote a half an hour to something that needs to be done when the rest of your day just got away from you? Is living strong for today getting through an episode of depression or anxiety without turning to some maladaptive coping mechanism? What does it look like for you this day to live strong for today? There is no judgment on what that looks like. There are days where I feel powerful, I feel empowered even, I feel capable, and it's like I can tackle the world. And there are days where it's everything I can do to just throw the blankets off of me first thing in the morning and get ready to tackle the day that's ahead of me. Both instances and everything in between and beyond what I have shared is living strong for today. At the end of every single episode, I will remind you, from now until this podcast ends, I will remind you to give it your all, to do the best that you can, and to not criticize yourself if the best that you can give is sometimes the bare minimum, if that. That is okay. It is absolutely okay if living strong for today is doing the bare minimum, because that's all that you can handle right now. That is okay. It's all right. It's not anything to be judged or criticized. You will have days where that is the best that you can give. You will have days when the best that you can give looks like a stay-at-home mom that is handling 3 young children and still keeping up with cleaning the house and routines and schedules and running errands, what is stereotypically seen as a stay-at-home mom and everything that she can do. If that's what it looks like for you, you're going to have days like that. And you're going to have days where, man, just that walk from the bed to the bathroom is just a mile long, and you're just dragging your feet to get there. What I want to remind you of, and I remind myself every single time I say this, is I want to remind us the importance of doing our best, however that looks. Today got away from me. That's the best that I can say. I had things that needed to be done. I had a lot of things that took me away from what is work. I was doing more things along the lines of being a homemaker than being a small business owner. And I'm going to have days that are like that. And that's perfectly fine. I'm not criticizing myself. I'm not judging myself for not hitting the 2 or 3 podcast episodes recorded in one day and producing as many as I can with the time that I have. That's just not the life that I lead. It really isn't. I lead a life that has me pulled so many different directions that sometimes it's amazing I get done with whatever I do. It is my hope that these simple words of live strong for today, these 4 simple words, will be an overt or even a subtle reminder to do just that. The best that you can. To live strong and be the hero of your own story. Whatever it looks like for you to do your best. To go through your day in the strength and the power that you have to do whatever it is that you need to do, I sincerely hope that this serves as a reminder of what you are capable of doing and doing what you can do. There are some days I do not live up to what I believe I am capable of living up to because I am so tired, strung out, I'm pulled in so many different directions. I have discovered, I kind of knew I wasn't the best at multitasking. One of the things I learned is it's not really multitasking, it's more activity changing or switching. And I have discovered that this switching takes a high price from me. Sometimes I will be in the middle of doing some kind of work and I have something that pulls me away from it. Maybe it's Odin needing to go use the bathroom. Maybe it's making a phone call. Maybe it's receiving a text message. Whatever it happens to be. Maybe it's, man, I have not had any water yet today. I should probably go get myself some water. When I sit back down at my computer, there are times when it takes me minutes to recompose myself in order to remember what was I doing, get my focus back on that so I can continue where I left off. That switching, there is a high price for me to do that. And I have a life right now that requires a lot of activity switching. For me, as I'm coming up on 40 years, living strong for today looks very different from 20 years ago, from even 5 years ago. And that is perfectly fine. I will continue to do the best that I can. And I need to remind myself of this. I mentioned in my helpful books and tools podcast from, that was last year, I think, that I recorded that one. That was probably in like the first 10 that I recorded, I think. That I use the Finch Self-Care app as a means to affirm myself. And one of the affirmations I give myself every single morning is this exact saying: to live strong for today or die trying. We'll just stick with the live strong for today part. I'm a much more sentimental person for the entire saying, but it also makes a lot more sense for the chaotic world that the people in the book live in. So, living strong for today. I will continue to remind you of that every single week at the end of every episode. And just know that is as much a reminder for me as it is for you. When I sign off for this episode and I say those words, that is a reminder for me to do the best that I can with what energy I have, with what time I have, and with everything that needs to be done, or everything that I get to do. One of the podcasts that I listen to is the Robcast, hosted by Rob Bell. And as I've been working through the backlog of what he has produced, at the end of every single podcast, he always has a benediction because he was a pastor for years. So that just kind of stuck with him. And there were so many times where I'm like, why is he doing this? And there were a lot of times where it's like, he's at the benediction, let's go ahead and just move on. Again, a lot of this is tied to the spiritual trauma I've had in my past. And yet, I just realized I kind of do the same thing. Because that's almost what this saying is. The end of every single podcast, live strong for today, is almost like a benediction. It's a reminder, maybe even a blessing, to just say, hey, you've got this. Do the best that you can. You're capable of doing this. Whether it's just a simple 4-word sentiment or a benediction. That's what it's there for. It is a reminder to me every single time I say it. And I hope that it serves as a reminder to you of what you're capable of doing, of your worth, of your value, the importance of taking care of yourself, that you can be the hero of your own story. And so, with all of that being said, my friend, I will see you next week with another episode. And until then, live strong for today. Thanks so much for watching or listening to this podcast. If you like what you're hearing, then give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future uploads. If you are interested in working with me, then take a look in the description where you can find my website or a link just to schedule a free 50-minute one-on-one call with me. Looking forward to talking with you soon.